How's it going, Bruin fans? Todd Reeves here on your UCLA Daily, part of the Fan Arch Network. Glad you've joined me on this Friday, March 13th, 2026. Hope you're not superstitious or anything. But you got to be doing pretty well because UCLA got a victory last night over Rutgers 72-59 in the third round of the Big Ten tournament. They now move on to the quarterfinals where they will take on Michigan State. Wasn't a pretty game by any means. Both teams kind of mucking it up. A lot of missed shots for both teams and a lot of scramble plays. But the thing that stood out to me for UCLA was just their energy, especially defensively, just going after loose balls and getting deflections. And, it's just all kinds of things. The defense was the story tonight, which of course we'll get to. But, you got to give kudos to UCLA on a night when they didn't shoot the ball well. They only shot 38% from the field, including 30% from three. In fact, if you could guess who the only player on the UCLA team to shoot 50% for the game, I mean, you deserve some major credit because the answer to that is Jamar Brown, who went 1 for 2 from the field. He was the only Bruin to shoot it at 50% or better. And his only made basket was on a total breakdown by Rutgers defensively on an inbounds pass where Donovan Dent found him wide open for a layup. And that was it for Jamar Brown. His only other shot was a three that he missed. And UCLA, again, really struggled from the floor. They were led in scoring by Tyler Bilodeau, who got 21 points, and he did go 8 for 8 from the line. I mean, that was another big factor in this ball game, was the fact that UCLA shot the ball really well from the free throw line, 19 of 23. And late in the game, Rutgers kept fouling, trying to, prolong the game, but it didn't matter as UCLA kept hitting their free throws, and they moved on. I mean, it was a workmanlike effort, but part of the reason that maybe both teams kind of struggled. First of all, Rutgers played a knockdown, drag-out affair the day before against Minnesota, whereas UCLA, again, their game didn't seem to travel, at least offensively, to Chicago. UCLA has struggled all year away from the West Coast, and offensively they did again last night, but they were able to pull out the victory just because they're just a better team than Rutgers, flat out. I mean, let's face facts. There's a reason why Rutgers was the 14th seed and UCLA was the 6th seed. However, Rutgers had won 5 of their last 8 Big Ten games, so they came in playing well. And one of the people that came in playing well was Tariq Francis, and he was just atrocious. Last night, he didn't score for the first 21 minutes of the game after coming off a game against Minnesota where he scored 29 points, which was a Rutgers record for any Big Ten game, but he was absolutely shut down. And the reason he was shut down was because of the defense that UCLA played, but also the leadership that was shown by Donovan Dent. I mean, Donovan Dent made history last night at the Big Ten tournament, becoming the first Big Ten player ever to have a triple-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 12 assists. Now, he did have 2 turnovers. I'm sure Mick Cronin will, have some fuel to break down the film and get on Donovan Dent a little bit for his 2 turnovers. But Donovan Dent was spectacular. I mean, he was making plays, hustle plays. He had a play where he saved the ball from going out of bounds, and while he was doing his Superman impersonation, threw the ball underneath for a basket. And it's just, he had one play where he stole the ball on a pass, a cross-court pass by Rutgers, went down the floor, got 3 offensive rebounds on 1 possession, and then got an assist lead to a bucket on that play. It was extraordinary. I really thought the key stretch or the key moment of the game was UCLA began the second half, went on a run, took a 5-point lead into the break, went on a run, and they've been doing that lately. They've been doing a great job, coming out of the locker room and, stretching the lead. And that's exactly what they did. They got it up to double digits, I think as big as 15. And then Rutgers started making runs. They cut it to 9, and then UCLA would hit a basket, and then Rutgers would come back and cut it to 9, and UCLA would hit a basket. But the key stretch was the Bruins were up by 9, missed a shot, and the crowd started getting into it. And even on the broadcast, I believe it was Robbie Hummel said, this is when the crowd can all jump on the bandwagon of the underdog and make it tough on the favorite. And they started to get a little loud at the United Center, but then the Rutgers threw up an air ball, which Donovan Dent grabbed the rebound, and that was his 10th rebound, which gave him the triple-double with just under about 2.5 minutes to go, just under 3 minutes. And then on that ensuing possession, found a wide-open Tyler Bilodeau, hit a 3, and that put the Bruins up by 12, and they never looked back. After that, it was just, some free throws and some, cosmetic plays at the end. But it was all UCLA, and there's one big reason why the UCLA won this game, and of course it was the defense. They say defense will travel sometimes if you're good enough on the defensive end, and UCLA so far this season has not been. But I swear they took it to a whole new level defensively last night. They really buckled down. And again, it was energy and effort. I think that, maybe it wasn't the best defensive game they played all year. That was probably the Nebraska game. But their energy and effort, so many deflections, so many hustle plays. You could tell they really wanted this. And when you have a team that's talented, athletic, and really digs in defensively, they can do quite a bit. Only giving up 59 points to Rutgers is a heck of a job. And as we said, Tariq Francis, who scored 29 points, hit just 2 shots, went 2 of 11. So you got to give credit to, Sky Clark, and Eric Freeney had a nice block at the start of the game on a jumper. There was all kinds of effort plays where, like, it would seem on an offense rebound like Rutgers would have an easy layup or an easy tip in, or they'd get to the rim and it seemed like they would have an easy layup. And the Bruin defense, they did not give up on those plays, and they'd either contest the shot and cause a miss, or they'd get a block shot. So the Bruins defense really stepped up in a big way, and it was really kind of a Mick Cronin type game because, Mick Cronin has said many a time, he's a defensive coach, and the main reason is defense, even when you're not scoring the ball or shooting it that well and you're in a shooting slump, which happens a lot, at least if you're playing good defense, you'll always be in the game. And that's what it was. The Bruins did not shoot it well, did not play well on offense. Part of the reason was Rutgers in the first half went to a zone, and UCLA did not do very well against the zone, didn't attack it, was very passive, just throwing the ball around the perimeter and then settling for outside jumpers. And, when you're having a tough shooting night, that can happen. I thought Steve Peichel, the coach of Rutgers, kind of made a mistake because early in the second half, he went to the zone, and it kind of bothered UCLA a little bit. But then Tyler Bilodeau hit a 3 when they left him open against the zone, and then Steve Peichel said, that's it, we're not going to play any more zone, and they went back to man-to-man. And UCLA's offense it's a world of difference when they play against man or zone. And the next game will be Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans, so who knows. They'll probably play man. That's what they're famous for. I don't think they'll play any zone against UCLA, but other teams in the future might, and that's something that UCLA needs to work on offensively. But if they can still play the kind of defense that they played last night, they'll be tough to beat. If they can really dig in defensively, they can, as we said, they can stay in ball games, and if they have a good shooting night, they'll beat some teams, and they can beat some good teams too, like Michigan State, even though they already lost to Michigan State by 23, and we don't need to talk about that game anymore after the incidents with Mick Cronin and the blowout loss to the Spartans in East Lansing, Michigan a few weeks ago. So now that the Bruins have moved on to the quarterfinals, now the question becomes, how does this affect the NCAA tournament Did the game do anything for their seeding? Right now, they look to be about an 8 seed. You look at the different brackets out there. Bracket Matrix is a good site that like kind of averages all the brackets, and they have UCLA as an 8. They could be a 9, but or they could be a 7. But does that really matter? I mean, when you're talking 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, I mean, you're going to play our 1 or a 2 seed in the second round. So how much does a game like tonight help? Probably not much. They're not going to move up. But the question is, do you play for seed or do you play for location? Because UCLA, as we said, all year long has struggled away from the West Coast, and there's only two first round sites that are in the West Coast, and that's Portland and San Diego. And the way it looks like, Arizona would be the 1 seed out west in San Diego. So would UCLA like to be the 8th seed in San Diego, or would they like to be the 8th seed in Oklahoma City against Houston? I mean, against a 7 seed against Houston in Oklahoma City, or would you rather be the 8th seed? I mean, does it really matter at this point? The 1s and the 2s are all very, very good, and they're all going to have like a semi home court advantage because the committee will put them there. And so UCLA is going to have their work cut out for them no matter where they end up. But all in all, a win like tonight doesn't move them up, doesn't move them down, of course, but probably just keeps them right where they are. Now, if they beat Michigan State later on tonight, then, maybe that's a different story. Then maybe they are moving up to a 7 seed. And, and then they're looking good. Maybe they can even get to a final of the Big Ten Conference Tournament, which would be quite an accomplishment. So that'll do it here for this Friday the 13th. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the Bruins won't have any issues. Also, don't forget, we don't want to have any injury issues. He had the little scare with Sky Clark with a cramp in his calf. That's the one thing that the UCLA is going to have to be wary about his injuries, because you can't have injuries in these kind of games with bigger games down the road. So Bruins need to come out of it healthy, number one, and then hopefully do enough to get a good seed or get into San Diego. And because I think UCLA, if they had their pick, might take San Diego because it's local and they've played Arizona already this season, so there won't be an intimidation factor, and UCLA played that game very close. So we'll see what happens, but the next time I talk to you, the brackets will be out. It'll be on Monday, March 16th. That will be the next time I talk to you on the UCLA Daily. So until then, take care, Bruin fans, and let's hope we get a few more wins here in Chicago and then move on to the NCAA tournament, which we'll talk about on Monday. So until then, Todd Reeves saying, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Also, leave your comments down below if you can. So, for everyone here at the Fan Arts Network, it's Todd Reeves saying so long, Bruin fans, and have a great weekend. Take care.